All right. There we are. Hello and welcome everyone to episode 21 of the Janus Motorcycles Ramblestream. 21 episodes in and I'm still figuring out how to make all this stuff work. As always, if you can't hear me, post up something. Let me know if there's any sound or a lack thereof. I've got a couple of things to talk about this evening. As promised from last week, I think we will take a little stab at a couple of sections from, or maybe one section from the upcoming Rambler's Companion short, what I've been calling it is a treatise on rambling. That we will be publishing very, very soon. Today, Grant and I were working on it, and we're wrapping up the project. It's amazing how long this has taken compared to how short I thought it would take. But I guess coming out with a little book in a year isn't that bad on top of everything else we're doing. A little more volume. Let's see. I've got the speaker in front of me. Let's make sure I can increase it a little bit more. How about that? How y'all? Does that sound good? Anthony says sound is good. Okay. Well, we're going to go with that for now. I'll talk a little closer to the microphone. Okay. Let's take a quick look at some comments before we get started, and then we will proceed with the program. So starting off, Grant Longenbaugh is the first in the comment thread here, wishing us all a good evening. Scott Spence, one of our dear friends and customers up in Elkhart, so he's just a few miles up the road, owner of Halcyon 250 number 212 and Halcyon 450 number 178, checking in. And Sirius Blatt from the UK, well, hello there. Sirius, where are you from? I may have already asked you this, but if so, pardon me. Where are you from in the UK? Post that up there, I'm curious. I know you're staying up late to hang out with us here. Straw Dog says, hello, folks. Tom, good evening from Burlington, Wisconsin. Good to see you on, Tom. As always, folks, remember, if you have a Janus, post up what it is and what your model number is. Straw Dog is in, an old friend there, wishing Grant hello. Bob Benstead, Halcyon 450 number 230 being made and rapidly, it may actually be on its way. I don't even know. Ron says hello from Central Florida. Hello, Ron. Good to see you on. Let's see. I'm getting texts here. I should turn off my phone. We got Scott says hello, Grant. Straw Dog, wishing everybody a hello. Grant says he's drinking water until the little one goes to bed. And then, what does he say? I should read my comments off the YouTube channel, not here, because it keeps scrolling around. Drinking water until the little one goes to bed, then coffee or something brown, by which I'm sure he means something like bourbon. Eric Green, Eric Outlaw here, representing Vancouver, Washington. Eric with his heavily decorated Halcyon 250. Dan Radimski, hello from Western North Carolina, racing the sun. Ahoy there. Straw Dog, Charles McGahagan, hello from Eastern Shore, Halcyon 250 number 454. Straw Dog says, I'm finishing up dinner and then I'll pick up a brown something too to Grant. And then we got a couple of comments about sound. I hope it's okay still. Loud and clear. Gary Smith. Hey, Gary. Hello from East Lansing. Halcyon 250 number 79. Halcyon 450 number 3. And Phoenix 250 number 79. If you don't know, that's the last Phoenix. Charles 250. Charles Summon says hello all. Griffin 124 in San Francisco, California. Andy Halcyon 450 number 120 from Allendale, Michigan. John Straw number 7. So that's Straw Dog number 769 250 in New Hampshire. Where are you in New Hampshire? I went to school up in Merrimack or Nashua, so just across the border from Massachusetts. But I know New Hampshire a little bit. Tom says 250 number 1008. Dan Radimski says 450 number 235 being made. Keith Haywood number 706 in New York. Todd Grover number 450 number 227. And Mr. Carey 3's channel, hi from Jersey Shore. Halcyon 450 number 195. Good to see you. Charles Selman, wishing Grant a hello. Anthony Beach, Janus 450 number 24 from Temple, Texas. Nice low number there. Holly Branstner, hey Holly, and Jeff. It's just 77 and 78 here. That's a 250 Halcyons. Jeff is drinking absinthe, and I'm drinking Werner's. Nice. I would expect no less. Such a classy couple. Riggedy Alp says, greetings from Massachusetts. Halcyon 450 number 234, recently sent for paint and powder coating. Fantastic. Drinking raspberry lime Adirondack sparkling water. Straw Dog Seacoast in New Hampshire. I think I knew that already. Very good. And Dennis Leland says, hello, Whitmore Lake, Michigan. Halcyon 491 and Corvallis, Oregon, number 749. Ooh, wow. Nice. Grant says, I'd expect nothing different from you both, to Holly and Jeff. Well, I'm going to pour my hot water for my tea that I am drinking once again. And we'll get started here. If I don't pour hot water all over my computer in the process. If there's a way for me to sabotage this computer, I will. All right. Well, let's go ahead and get started. I've got a poem for y'all. I got a nice note this last week from someone who appreciated we read the Lake Isle of Innisfree by Yeats, and kind of got me on I mentioned Seamus Heaney, who I of course did not ever get to hear Yeats read, but I did get to hear Seamus Heaney read his poetry in undergrad. I mentioned I was in New Hampshire and for school, and we heard that he was going to be reading at Harvard, and so we drove down, I guess, down to Boston, Cambridge, and got to hear him read a selection of his poetry. So I feel like I kind of have some level of a personal connection there that I was able to hear him read. So we're going to read a different Irish poet this evening. I went thrifting over the weekend, and I picked up some collected poems from Heaney, and we're going to read some, and there's some really good ones in here. The one that I picked for this evening, it's got kind of a rambling theme, I think. Well, I'll read it first, and then we can talk about what it's about later. So this is called The Diviner by Seamus Heaney. Cut from the green hedge a forked hazel stick that he held tight by the arms of the V. Circling the terrain, hunting the pluck of water, nervous but professionally unfussed. The pluck came sharp as a sting. The rod jerked with precise convulsions, spring water suddenly broadcasting through a green hazel its secret stations. The bystanders would ask to have a try. He handed them the rod without a word. It lay dead in their grasp, till nonchalantly he gripped expectant wrists. The hazel stirred. So that obviously is about divining, or divining is one word for it. It's also called water witching, or what's the other word? The really cool one. Oh, dowsing, or dosing. Dowsing for water. So basically, I'm sure some of you all have experienced or encountered this. It's still practiced by people trying to find water all over the world, but there are various ways of accomplishing it. The traditional way is using a hazel, or at least in English-speaking, the UK probably, and Ireland. They hold this forked hazel branch, and you hold it and you walk around where you're looking for water, and it will twist in your hand when you're directly over water. Now, I've also heard of folks using 2 sticks, and a lot of times what I've seen locally around here with like contractors who are using it, or growing up we had a contractor that used water witching or dowsing, and you just take 2 coat hanger lengths about yay long, and you bend them into an L, and the 2 of them you hold side by side, and the with the 2 L's sticking forward, and if they cross, that's where the water is. And so, of course, what you end up with is something that the slightest movement of your hand can make it look like it's moving. But it's also very, which I guess is really the point, because is it the stick that's picking up the signal of water, or the whatever emanation of water, or is it your body and the stick is signal registering what your body feels? That's the question. And I asked the founder and president of my college, little college up in Merrimack, Thomas More College, Dr. Peter Sampo. One time I asked him, I said, "What do you think of divination or dowsing?" And he said, "Richard, there are something to the effect of, there are more ways, there are more senses in the world and more things going on than we are always aware of." And I thought that was a wonderful answer, because he did not write it off as something that was made up or phony. And I believe in it. I'll go out there and go ahead and say that. I have tried it without any luck myself. There's a wonderful, I first encountered the idea of it in a children's book series that I grew up reading called Swallows and Amazons, which I credit Swallows and Amazons with my love of adventure and rambling, really. It's about a bunch of children growing up in England in the 1920s and 30s, and a lot of sailing in small wooden boats. And they encounter water witching in one of the books. I think it's Pigeon Post. It's a series of books, and they're absolutely fantastic. I highly recommend them. Even if you're an adult, I still read them to my children, and I get more out of it, I think, or we all get the same amount out of it. So pretty neat. Anyway, let's take a quick look at some comments here. Confediank, good to see you, my friend. He says, "Howdy, NW Metal Bug." Whew, made it. Great, good to see you. Phil Hogemeyer, evening all, Phoenix number 61, Puget Sound, Washington. Welcome. Sirius Blatt says, "I'm in a place called Macclesfield, about 20 miles outside of Manchester. Fantastic. 5 minutes from the infamous Cat and Fiddle Road." It may be infamous, but I haven't heard of it. Very neat. And do you ride around in that area? I'm curious. Tom Kimball says, "Greetings from Halcyon number 192, rambling in the Rockies." Grant says, "One of my favorite collections." I guess you're talking about Seamus Haney? Great. Wonderful. I have not read this particular one, but from over the weekend reading what I gathered, it looks really good. Really good. There's a strain of these poets like Seamus Haney or Richard Wilbur or some of the other folks that I've been reading that I really like. It's almost, you could call it, I don't know, postmodern poetry. But when I use that word, I'm using it very, very carefully and not I think like most people do. But they're operating in a kind of modernist period of the world, but they're interested in ancient forms and that ancient forms. So very interesting to me, and you'll likely hear a lot more of it. Charles McGahagan says, Holly, Agent Pendergast would be proud. NW Metalbug says, Halcyon 250 number 164, Roy, Oregon. We've got lots of Pacific Northwesters on. Grant says, the one on Achilles and Priam is so good. Ooh, I will have to check that out. See, there you go. They're interested in these ancient forms, and talking about Achilles, talking about the Iliad is just the recipe. Straw Dog says, I've used copper rods for dowsing. Well, then tell me, John, have you found water with it? I'm really curious. Stephen Galarza, 450 number 200, Loxahatchee, Florida. Welcome. Tom Kimball, best series of books. Read them all to my children and grandchildren. Brilliant stuff. Fantastic. Found another Swallows and Amazons fan. They really are the best. They really are. By Arthur Ransom. I'm really excited about. I have not actually read all of them. I've read, the main ones many, many, many times and read them to my kids. But there's still like one, I want to say Great Northern, that I haven't read, and I'm really looking forward to reading to the girls, to my girls. I think I do. I have bought it, but. Dan Rademsky says, I would believe it if it were tested in double-blind tests. Yeah, you see, I don't think that's how it works. I think it's something, maybe it, I don't think it would probably pass a double-blind test. Let's just say that. And I don't think everyone can get it to work. There are certain people, like Seamus Haney talks about, he says, the bystanders would ask to have a try, and he'd hand them the raw without a word, but it lay dead in their grasp. So I think there is this idea that some people are more attuned to this. Mr. Carey's Three's channel says Jersey Shore is easy. Post hole digger down to the 2 feet, and the hole will fill with water in 3 minutes. Yep, I believe it. Confed Yank says, I just got back from a ramble trip to Charleston, South Carolina for my birthday. Charleston's a beautiful city. I've been down there. I've been down to the College of Traditional Building, which is in the beautiful old jail there in Charleston. And it's a school that teaches traditional craftsmanship, stone laying, masonry, plasterwork, timber framing. Really neat school. Sirius Blatt says, Cat and Fiddle, so he's talking about this road outside of Manchester, was the most dangerous road in Britain. Resembles a mini TT. And riders would test themselves on it, often ending badly. Now heavily policed with speed cameras everywhere. 50 mile per hour limit. There you have it. That's really neat. Really neat. And Grant says, yes, spot on. He compares Achilles and Priam to the modern troubles in Ireland. Cool. Confed Yank, Sirius Blatt, that sounds like the Dragon Trail roads in U.S. Yeah. Chris Imperial. Hello, Chris. Hey, Richard. Updates on the different 450 accessories. I'll try and do some updates on where we stand with them. There's going to be a lot coming out soon, and I don't want to reveal anything I'm not supposed to, but yeah, we can talk about some of them. Grant says, Carrie, good to see you. Thanks for spreading the good word on Janus. And Sirius Blatt says, great rambling in my neck of the woods, I'm sure. Perfect small roads made for Classic 500 and undoubtedly a Halcyon 450. I know. I mean, I can imagine zooming around on small roads in England. That would be really, really wonderful because they are such small roads. It's the perfect machine, a small bike, for that kind of riding. So, very good. Okay, well, let me check my agenda here. I know what I wanted to talk about. We're going to talk about rambling, but first, I want to talk about. So, I don't know if you probably noticed the starting soon screen. I put up a new one because I found a AMC Rambler at the show in LA 2 weeks ago, and thought it was really neat. And I've noticed that when I bring up the Rambler or concepts for a Rambler, folks that are a little older than my generation, the first thing that they think about is the Rambler, which was a car. And so it's not the first thing that comes to my mind, or Grant and I, when we're talking about, oh, let's call this the Rambler or whatever. We're from a younger generation, so we didn't grow up. I mean, the compact Rambler, there are not many of them left, and it wasn't really part of my upbringing. So I figured I'd educate myself a little bit. And so let's take a quick look at the Rambler real quick before we move on to the Rambler's companion. There we go. There it is. So this is just a real quick little foray into me learning about the Rambler. Here's a whole bunch of them. But basically, the Rambler came out in 1954 under the Nash brand, which I did do some work in a Nash dealership in Virginia, restoration work in an old Nash dealership. But it was really the Rambler. Oh, here's a really good picture of one right here. This one. Here, I'll blow it up. Let's see. There we go. Look at that thing. Beautiful. Really cool looking. And so it's kind of hard to believe now because it looks so big, but this was really the groundbreaking in the sense that it was the first compact car. And then in 1960, let's see, came out in 1950, sorry. And then in 1954, it came out under the AMC brand. And they made it all the way up until 1969. And somewhere along in that range, I realize I'm not giving you all the full history, and many of you probably know much more about the Rambler than I do, but it kind of got a little bit muscly. And in 1969, they released the Hearst SC Rambler, which was a real muscle car, small muscle car. And that's what that graphic that I showed of the lovely badging on that comes from. I'll pull that up, that picture. Here you go. I just thought that was pretty neat. Real nice logo. So there's the Rambler for you. It's a good word, and I think it can live on for different purposes today. And of course, rambling is, as a kind of free-spirited activity, has there are lots of songs about rambling. Ramble on, Rambling Man. I did a iTunes, or not an iTunes, Spotify search for rambling songs, and it's just endless. So lots of good songs there. Let's see. I'm sure we're gonna have some good comments here. Carrie says, "Love these bikes, Grant. Talking to the wife about getting a 250 to keep the 450 company." All right, sounds good. Dan says, "The song about the little Nash Rambler. My Metropolitan was a smaller version with similar style." So there you go. There's a song about a Nash Rambler. Pretty neat. Huh. Scott says, "My mom had a 1969 Rambler 440. It was a really cool car. The air conditioner looked like a window unit bolted to the inside." Cool. Very neat. Confed says, "Growing up in OG Detroit muscle car family, I'm fairly aware of the Rambler." I'm sure you are. Grant Longenbaugh says, "Make sure you refer your self-carry and save on your second." Yes. We have a referral program, and that's $500 off, and you can refer yourself, so you get double so you get $1,000 off if you refer yourself, because then whoever gets the deal also gets to take $500 off. So there you go, best deal. Keith Haywood dated a girl in high school who had a Rambler, the first reclining front seat I ever saw. Nice. Okay. Tom Lathrop says, quite a few of my friends had mid-60s Ramblers when I was in high school. Many interesting adventures in them. They built them in Kenosha. That's right, Kenosha, Wisconsin. Yep. Uh-huh. Yeah, I don't know what the pricing was, but I feel like if they were a compact car, they must have been fairly affordable. David Husky says, JM 138 Las Cruces, New Mexico has joined. Oh, nice. Tom said they had push-button transmission selector. Nice. Willard Small, song is Beat Beat. Carrie says, all through the early 60s, I worked at an auto parts store and sold a lot of Rambler parts. Nice. And Confedang says, one of my uncles liked racing with one of the early ones before they were known for being muscle cars. Yeah. Cool. Yeah, I think they had some pretty neat designs. I like the station wagon ones. Like, check this thing out. Here, I'll move it over. Yeah, that thing. Gorgeous. Gorgeous. Here's a picture of the if I can find a good image. There's the Hearst SC Rambler. Pretty hot looking. Cool car. All right. Sirius Blatt says, my YouTube name came from the days I had a Caterham. Going for a drive was referred to as a Blatt. Given my riding style now, I think Ramble fits me better. Nice. Excuse me. All right. Well, I think we'll do a little portion or two from the Rambler's Companion, and maybe you'll understand a little bit more about what we're talking about. So it's a manuscript form right now. I've got a bunch of pieces of paper folded up, but this is about a little bit bigger than the size it'll be. So a small book, not too big. Read it in an afternoon and enjoy it. And then return to it many times because it's full of such valuable lessons. All right, we're not going to read the foreword. What time is it? Okay, good. All right, I think I'm going to skip around a little bit, and we're just going to read the section. This is part 1, which is called Rambling, and the first section is called Chapter 1, What is a Lightweight Motorcycle? And feel free to ask questions up here. I mean, I know you all already are, but go ahead. This is, I'd love to hear your thoughts on it. Suggestions, comments, and stories. So, all right. Chapter 1, What is a lightweight motorcycle? When we talk about lightweight motorcycles, we mean bikes with less than 650 cubic centimeters of engine displacement and weighing less than 400 pounds, with anywhere from 10 to 50 horsepower. This is a fairly loose category, and purists may claim that a 650cc, 400-pound motorcycle is neither small nor lightweight when compared with many of the models that have been produced over the last 120-year history of two-wheeled motorized travel. It does, however, provide a useful lens when evaluating the production motorcycles available on the U.S. market for the past 30 or so years. Motorcycles and cars have gotten faster, larger, and heavier with improvements in roads, the advent of the interstate highway, and the increased expectations of comfort, convenience, and safety that have accompanied these advances. As a result, many current or aspiring riders, especially here in the United States, believe that anything with less than 1,000 cc is a beginner bike. In fact, most of the greatest racing motorcycles of all time had significantly smaller displacements, typically 500 cc or less, and for a variety of reasons, weighed far less than the average modern motorcycle. These were certainly not beginner bikes. And I have a footnote on there that goes down and we say, for evidence of this, take a look at the famous 1950 Isle of Man winning Norton Manxes with displacements of 350cc and 500cc, the groundbreaking Velocette KTTs of the 1930s with 350cc, and the AJS Porcupine with 500cc, along with the 500cc Galeras, 250 and 350 Ducatis, Benellis, etc., of such great names as Halewood, Surtees, Duke, Redmond, Pasolini, Reed, Dunlop, etc. Back to the text. Many of these were highly tuned machines with higher outputs, but they were racing machines after all, competing at the highest levels. Their production road-going counterparts fell squarely in our category. Of course, there were always big-bore machines as well, with marques like Brough Superior and Vincent in England offering liter-sized engines and top speeds to match from an early date. Here in the States, where bigger has often been perceived as better, Indian and Harley-Davidson, Thor, Curtis, and the like quickly ran up to 1,000 cc's and more early in the last century, although with relatively low power outputs, because these big engines were not putting out. A 1,000cc engine in 1920 or 30 was not putting out the power that some 250s put out today. Lightweight motorcycling will not appeal to everyone. Within the larger umbrella of motorcycling are a myriad of subcultures, from the space-suited adventure riders with the latest technology and gadgets, to the leather-vested bikers on big baggers or wildly customized choppers, often with antiquated technology and without front brakes. From sport bike riders decked out in full racing leathers, to vintage riders on carefully maintained older machines from their favored historic period. Each genre has wildly different requirements for what a motorcycle is expected to offer. And they're all equally valid. I mean, one of the things that I try and make clear in this is that, it's a subjective experience, and, there's a place for all different kinds of riding, and it's fun to ride all of them. But as I'll get to in here, if you try and delve down into what the essential reason we get on motorcycles is, it has something to do with this idea of rambling. For many recreational riders, the simple knowledge that they can blast past any other vehicle on the road, even if they never chose to do so, or the statement made by the rumbling exhaust note of a powerful engine, is what they look for in a bike. Others prioritize the ability to cover vast distances across a variety of terrains with as much comfort as possible, often with little care for how dorky their gear might look. Whether a high-strung Italian sport bike, a rumbling American cruiser, a powerful Japanese street bike, or a technical adventure bike, each has its unique appeal. Big, fast, and resultingly heavy motorcycles can be a blast to ride, and anyone passionate about motorcycling should have the privilege of riding as many different kinds of motorcycles as possible. For many riders, this type of motorcycle is just what they're looking for. They will enjoy every minute of the kind of experience it lends itself to. Yet, amid all this confused variation, seeming like complete chaos to the uninitiated, there is a common appreciation among riders for the transformative effect of the personal agency or freedom that can be found and cultivated behind the handlebars of any motorcycle. Freedom, self-sufficiency, inner peace, whatever each motorcyclist chooses to call it, you will hear a version of a story that will become more and more familiar the more riders you talk to. This transformative capacity of the motorcycle is directly related not to how big, loud, fast, or packed with features a bike is, but instead to how effectively the machine is able to become an extension of the rider's mind and body. A machine capable of transporting us in more than physical ways relies not simply on its weight or specifications, but on many intangible attributes. These coalesce to form a mechanical object that can bring adults to tears, make children smile, or start a passionate conversation between complete strangers. The best motorcycles are capable of all these things and more. They are mechanical contraptions that are beautiful, functional, and emotionally satisfying. Comfort, control, responsiveness all play into this powerful response, but not necessarily in the ways we have been taught. It is in the very nature of smaller, lightweight motorcycles whose basic attributes we have outlined above, that the full potential of a motorcycle can be most fully experienced in daily riding. From shifting through all the gears to using the full range of the throttle, their more nimble, easy to maneuver handling means that lightweight motorcycles are perfectly suited to extend the rider's mind and body and augment all the sensations that make riding a motorcycle such a potent and transformative experience. Yet the modern motorcycle industry mostly relegates this type of motorcycle to the budget category, rarely extending them the level of fit and finish that their larger counterparts claim, along with their higher price tags. These budget machines lack the degree of craftsmanship appropriate to their purpose. In many cases, although they can be a lot of fun, this should make us question why there are not more lightweight motorcycles that are extended the same level of craft, finish, and beauty afforded to their larger modern counterparts. Chapter 1 there. We'll see if we go on a little bit, but I wanted to check the comments here. Dan says, will you include a copy with each new bike? Maybe. That would probably be a good idea. Will Rambler fit on the pedestrian slicer? It could. That'd be pretty good. NW Metalbug says, Keith Haywood, good idea. Yeah. Keith Valenzuela says, greetings from southeast Nebraska. Is that right? N-E? Yeah, right? Charlie will get mad at me for not knowing that. Confed Yank says, I'm unsure if I explained how I felt Halcyon 250 fits best for me. I needed a motorbike light enough to carry while also towing a car. Towing a car. This meant class 2 carry weight. Oh, I see, towing with a car. Few motorbikes fit into this. Yeah, you're right. And the ones that do are typically like something like a small dirt bike, a small dual sport, or something, a small bike. And a lot of times, those like a Honda Rebel 250 or now 300, a lot of times those bikes, perfectly great bikes, fantastic machines, but they're created to be as cheap as possible. And nothing wrong with that, but if we accept this idea that rambling is, that there can be so much fun on these small, lightweight bikes, the question I'm asking is, why wouldn't we do what we do here at Janus, which is make the nicest, lightweight, small displacement bike you can that takes advantage of that simplicity and immediacy that a small bike allows you to experience. And that's something that, I've ridden a lot of bikes. I do love, my motto is, and you've probably heard me say it, is if someone offers to let me ride their motorcycle, I never say no. So I've ridden a lot of different bikes from 200 plus, 230 horsepower H2s around, and I love them all. I've owned, the most powerful bike I've owned was a Kawasaki Concourse, which is a big bike, 600 pounds, 1,000 cc's, 100 horsepower, blast to ride, really, really fun. But it doesn't change the fact how much I love riding a 250 around. So, yeah. Confediank says, which for me, I also like retro style. And that limited down to Janus and Honda Cub. But the Honda Cub doesn't seem to have the ergos I wanted, as well as I must mod it to reach 60 miles an hour. Yeah, is the Cub 125 or 150? I don't remember what the new Cub is. Sirius says, I took a part-time job test riding for a motorcycle superstore. Nice. I was lucky enough to ride everything from scooters to Hayabusas. I have not ridden a Hayabusa. I would love to do that someday. After about 500 bikes in 6 months, I sold my Ducati and bought, let's see what he says, my first Bullet 500. Great proof of, so we're on the same page, Sirius. Perry says, yep, I still enjoy our 92 K75S and Marini 550 for 501 Camel. Ordered 2 new Honda Cubs just because. Great. Nice. That's fantastic. Keith Valenzuela says, yep. Sirius Black, I realize weight and speed does not equal pleasure. Often it doesn't. I think the latest YouTube short from you guys sums it up perfectly. That chap gets to use everything he paid for. Spot on. I think, are you talking, I don't know what the latest YouTube short is. Maybe it's, I know that Tom Neal really eloquently put why he likes riding a small bike. And I know we've got some shorts of him. Carrie says, I spent 14 years as a Harley-Davidson service manager. Rode everything the motor company built, including owning 2 Buells. Oh, nice. My Halcyon 450 is the pure essence of motorcycling that HD forgot about. Huh. Good to hear. Honda Cub is 125cc, 9 horsepower. Cool. So that's the same horsepower as our old Halcyon 50s. They were 10 horsepower, but a 2-stroke, so they had more power. Dan says, I'm enjoying my Royal Enfield 350. It's my 8th Royal Enfield, but I know the 450 will take its place. Aw, fantastic. I've ridden a number of Royal Enfields, and they're fantastic. I mean, they really, in a way, they capture the lack of practicality in a really wonderful way that we talk about. I think I'll get to one more section here before we wrap up. But yeah, nothing but love for the Royal Enfields. The interesting thing about the Royal Enfields is that they're mass produced by one of the largest motorcycle companies in the world. So again, it's like, I just wish that there was a bike that well, I mean, there is, it's Janus Motorcycles, but without being too self-aggrandizing, it would be wonderful if there were more bikes available that focused on this, or at least if more people understood the value that can be had with small displacement riding. And that's really what the Rambler's Companion is about, is evangelizing this concept. And it doesn't necessarily, as you'll find in the book, only happen on motorcycles. I try and draw a lot of parallels with other activities that are also rambling. One of those would be a love of mechanical watches. That's when I did a Ramblestream months ago on mechanical watches, and that's kind of when I was writing this portion and learning about watches, and it's since then become a bit of a passion, shall we say, and that is definitely a form of rambling. I mean, it's a thing that you have to wind it up. There's many more practical ways and more technologically sophisticated ways of keeping time, such as, your iPhone or your Apple Watch, which, by the way, Apple has sold more Apple Watches than the entire watch industry, like over and over again. They've completely broken the concept of it. And yet, there are still people who are interested in watches. So again, similar thing, sailing, especially with smaller boats that are less practical, definitely gets into that. Walking there's lots of different activities that that engage with this level of agency, that personal agency that's what I'm talking about with rambling. However, the motorcycle does hold a unique place in that realm, and we'll talk about that at some point. Let's see some more comments. Tom Kimball. In my mind's eye, my first bicycle, a junker my dad got from the junkyard and fixed up for me in 1963, rode like the wind. It had an imaginary engine that could take me anywhere Steve McQueen rode. Absolutely. Yep. And so much of it is also imagination. It's tapping into those things that are the most powerful for our experience, and so often those things that are the most powerful are things that engage our imagination and our experience, rather than just a list of technical features or specifications that, while impressive, kind of sidestep the whole human experience that we're actually living. The reason that we want to ride a motorcycle is not because of a list of numbers, it's because we feel something. So let's focus on that. Tom says, fast forward to 2023 and I got my 450, and that bike is the real world version of the bike I rode as a young lad. I cannot. That's fantastic to hear. I really appreciate hearing that stuff because that validates what we're trying to do. Confetti Yank says the Royal Enfield 350 Classic is fun to ride, but selecting what I can afford to insure, it's a bike more than my budget. Understood. Yeah, makes sense. Chris Imperial says as close as you can get to a vintage bike without the real vintage bike hassle. Yeah, that's true too. And I'll talk a little bit about that as well. Having something that is not completely Luddite, it's an interesting concept. What it means to be a Luddite, is just to smash the textile mills and revolt against the machine completely. We live in a world that it would be very difficult to be a Luddite today. Although I won't discredit it completely, but if you want to actually engage with the world, you kind of have to meet the bare minimum requirements, and that's what we're trying to do, is have a motorcycle that is easy to maintain. Parts availability is good. You can fix it, you can maintain it. It has good brakes, all those kinds of things. Seth Mark, hey, how's it going? Good to see you there. Keith Valenzuela says, I went for a dinner cruise on a replica slave sailing ship. When the sails were hoisted, you could feel the ship lift up as the sails filled with the wind. It was a seafarer's version of rambling. Yeah, those old tall ships are... I have sailed on one bark. It wasn't a full tall ship, and it was an exhilarating experience. But any wooden boat, no matter how small, sometimes in my opinion, the really small ones get you that feeling the most immediately. It's a fantastic experience, and my sailing experience is primarily in small boats. So I think that's really but yeah, the larger ones too. I mean, something was going on with those than the way that we like a cruise ship today, or the way that we would build a boat today, that has nothing to do with it. And I'll talk about that. Try a 49 or International 16. Yeah. Yep. Good points. Carrie says, on October 1st, I did a toy run with about 650 motorcycles. At the end of the 85-mile course, my Halcyon 450 garnered more interest than $65,000 Harley Customs. There we go. Love it. Fantastic. Let's see. I think I'm gonna save the rest of this. We're not gonna do too much reading out loud. We'll come back to it next time. But I will in Grant's asked me, and we'll talk a little bit about some of the specials we're running. And I'll try and I'll kind of on the fly here talk about some of the upgrades we're working on. So right now, after the Black Friday sale, we are currently doing, and you can remember what I said about give yourself the referral. It's $1,000 off if you want a second bike. For all of you who already have one, we have a bunch of motorcycle inventory here, and all of these are $500 off. And so, great deals, some beautiful bikes. Let's see, where's that black one? Oh, this 223 is a real beauty. This is just the rendering of it, but we have it back there as well. Beautiful bike. Beautiful bike. Also, it's now 40% off of all options and upgrades on all bikes. So if you order a new one. So we've got some great specials going on. Sirius Blatt says there is a sat nav called the Beeline. It can give specific directions turn by turn, or it can just point roughly as the crow flies. That's ramble mode. Yeah, I've actually seen those Beeline navigational aids, and they're pretty neat because it's just in the most simple mode. It's just a little arrow that tells you which way to go. That's all it is. There's no blue line or pink line if you use Garmin, or things in your ears telling you what to do, which really is, and I talk about that in the Rambler's Companion, you really are being told what to do, which is the absolute opposite of what the reason we get on a motorcycle is to do whatever we want, and to go where we want, and to be able to use the whole lane and that kind of freedom. So I do use satellite navigation and stuff occasionally when I'm on a bike, but I'm starting to get tired of it, and using a map, pulling over to the side of the road, taping it. The best one is some people I've seen tape a map to their tank. I think Holly, actually. I don't know if you're still on, Holly, but when they were headed back to Toledo, she had a directions taped to her tank, which I just thought, yes, that is it right there. Using a map, using your brain. It's hard today to do that, but it really it's worth it. It's worth it. But those beelines are the best way to do it if you want to ride or aid. Confetti Yank says, Carrie, abuse them referrals so you may get a free second. There you go. Tom says, very little in sailing challenges one's skills as a 10-foot dinghy. My 250 is the 10-foot dinghy of motorcycles. Great. Absolutely. I agree. A small boat, you get to do everything, and you have to do everything, and you really do learn about the small adjustments that are necessary to sail well. And it's I have sailed much larger boats as well, and it's all the same concept. And there's some refinements you have to learn about, the specifics of how you, let's say, haul in the main sheet on a larger boat. On a small boat, you just haul it in. On a big boat, you have winches and stuff like that. And there's different, or sometimes it's automatic or motorized. But it's the same principle. Old School Pots. Hey, Old School. How's it going, man? Hello, Richard. I don't know if you can read what I sent. Says too long. Oh. Uh-oh. I don't think I see it up here. Nope, I don't think I see it if you sent something else. Okay. Well, as far as upgrades, we are got about 10 minutes left. We've got a bunch of stuff in the works, both for the 450 and the 250. Let me see what we got here. I don't want to give it all away, but we can talk about a couple of them. So of course you all know we're working on side stands or service stands and center stands for the 450. We are working on highway bars. The highway bars are very close to being done. We're working on some fancy fender upgrades. We're working on a lot of different the fender stuff. I won't give it away yet because we will reveal that, but we have some really cool projects coming along with that. We have some interesting things coming along the pipeline for your foot pegs. I'll let you imagine what those could be. Maybe I'll have some more information on that soon. We've got different exhaust upgrades and options for the 450 coming down the line. Tool rolls. We got, let's see. We got windscreen options coming down the pipeline. Two different versions, I hope. Saddlebag options, and what else? We have I'm giving away some stuff here, but we have a fuel bottle holder coming down the pipe. So a lot of neat stuff, and maybe I'll check on what I can reveal and what I can't, and how much information I can give before next time, so we can share a little more information. But that is just a portion of the options and upgrades we're working on. Basically, I know I keep saying this, but we are working. Our primary focus right now is new stuff. So keep your eyes peeled here. We're going to be coming out with a lot of stuff that's new in the sense that you got to buy a new bike for it, but also a lot of stuff that is going to be upgrades and options for your bike that you already have. Probably more stuff in that regard. So very excited about that. Let's see. Carrie says, yes, Howie bars for the 450. Yeah, we definitely have those. Those are really close. They're going to be coming out very soon. So I'm very excited about that. And they look really good. And they've been tested by Charlie. Abused by Charlie, let's say. Old School says, Merry Christmas to you and the great kids of Janus. Booked my hotel for the Founders Weekend in September 24th. So Old School will be here for the Owners Rally. Grant says, thanks, Old School. See you then. Confed Yank, windscreens will be helpful for the 450. Yes, they will be. Will there ever be a carbon belt drive versus chain-driven Janus, says Tom. That's a great question. If you don't know what he's talking about there, the Gates is a company that makes all kinds of things. Fuel line, actually all of our fuel lines are made by Gates, but they make a carbon drive, so it's made out of carbon fiber, but it uses a belt, a toothed belt, and it would be really neat to try and retrofit one of those onto one of our bikes, and we are. It's on our radar that those Gates belts, so you might see one pop up sometime. Kelly Chrisman, hey, do you think your friends that make the saddlebags could make something for my French bulldog that rides with me? I don't know. Send me an email. Richard@janusmotorcycles.com. Send me an email. The worst I can say is no, but we'll see. We're always open for projects like that. Old School says, how are the new fender skirts coming along? Something to see the upgrade of the mirrors for the 250 to metal frames instead of plastic. He wants to see metal mirrors. We could do that. The problem is a lot of those metal mirrors that are available. I mean, we could do it as an upgrade and do some really nice ones. If we did really nice ones, the ones that I would want to do, it would raise the price of the bike. And I don't want to raise it any more than it already is, or we're trying not to. So maybe we could come up with a mirror, an aftermarket mirror, but all the production ones that are DOT certified, which everything we do has to be DOT, they're chrome plated, and I just think that I don't think they look great, and they're gonna not wear well. So I kind of like they are plastic, but they hold up really well, the ones we use, and they are DOT. So there are a lot of mirror options that are aftermarket that are not DOT that you can add, but not a whole lot of options for us. But yeah, I'm always on the lookout for a good set of DOT high quality mirrors. Carrie says, poor Daniel will be happy when the 450 Howie bars are available. Nice. Yep. Carrie, yes, BW or HE Express. I'm not sure what that means. NW Metalbug says, I don't see the leg shields on the website. Do you still do them? We do the leg shields. I'm personally not a huge fan of them. They tend to slow the bike down a lot. There's just so much wind resistance. I don't know. They're so funky looking. Yeah, we do still offer them though. You can still get leg shields for the 250. They're not available on the 450. Poor Danielle will be happy when the 450 Howie bars are available. Yes, I read that as Daniel. Yes, she will be because y'all are pestering her. Kid Fed Yank says, I'm waiting to get my own Janus before I try booking an RV spot. Oh, great. Racing the Sun says 54 people online. Did we hit 54? Nice. Great. Well done, folks. Tom Kimball says, well, I don't care what Grant says, Richard. You're a true artiste. Looking forward. Yeah, Grant, he's always trash talking me, I know, right? Looking forward to reading your book series. Great. Love it. Halcyon coincidentally make great mirrors. Yeah, Halcyon is an English company. As you know, Sirius, they make goggles, which we carry, and registration plate, little number roundels, and a lot of different mirror stuff, which I have looked at. But again, it's this chrome plated. I'm not sure. Well, I'll take more look at it. And if it's DOT, we'll see. Old School says, thank you, answered my question. And being a newbie, lots of looks and comments from folks as well. that is that. Nice. And Straw Dog says, hit the thumbs up button. Yep. Hey, everybody, remember to give the video a like and spread the word. So, Richard Lucy. Hey there from Southwest Florida. Good to see you, man. Great to see all of you all. We are right on time. So we'll be back next week, Monday at 7:00, and bring your best questions. Try and stump me. Actually, please don't. I'll have more poetry. I think we'll do another Seamus Haney and come up with some more. Read some more of the Rambler's Companion. So thank you all very much, and I will see you all next week. Tom says, Francis says, in Iowa City, late to the stream. Glass of water. Good to see you. Siri says, I have a Halcyon on the RE. I'll send you some close-up pictures. Thank you. Tom says, well done. Any final thoughts on winterizing the bike? Yeah, I can answer that question real quick before I sign off. Winterizing your bike, the most important thing is if you're going to be putting it away for a month or more, you want to either treat your gas in your tank. I like to say put ethanol free in it, run it out of gas, put ethanol free in it if you haven't already. Treat your fuel, drain your carburetor if you have a carburetor on your bike, and put your battery on a battery tender. And that's the basics. If you do those things, then you're sitting pretty good. The most important thing on a 250 is drain that carburetor. Drain that carb and put your battery on a tender. All right, folks. Good to see you all, and I will catch you next week. Good night.